All of you boys and girls in SS2, I greet you, especially the geography students. We have been giving you videos, you've been watching my videos, you've been writing down your notes. I want to believe you've been doing that. If you have not, I want to encourage you or advise you now to start writing your notes. Do not go to business center and feel, let me quickly just photocopy. It's 10 naira and do photocopy and come back. There's a difference between that and when you use your hand to write. Do you know the difference? Whatever you write, you are reading. You do not need to say, I want to sit down throughout today and read this particular page or this particular topic. If you're able to cover one page, writing it with your hand, yes, it could be stressful, but you have also learned something, you've also read something. So things are going into your head straight as you are writing it with your hand. That's why it's not good giving notes to somebody to write. Because while that person is copying, the person is reading what you are supposed to read. I don't know if you get the point. And I believe now you are not busy because you are home. So nothing is keeping you busy other than to be writing them. Instead of going from morning to evening, you are in school. Just have a timetable, then do this writing. Please read very well. I have told you that you need to concentrate on week 1 to 6 for your geography, for your upcoming CBT that may be given to you this weekend. Please, geography is different from technical drawing. For your geography, concentrate on week 1 to 6. But I've told you in technical drawing, concentrate on week 1 to 6, but you major on week 5 and geography, I've said major on week 1 to 6. Read week 1 to 6, but major on week 5 and 6 for your geography. And then for technical drawing, those of you who are still doing TD, it is flat from week 1 to 6. There is no area of concentration, no compromise, nothing that you want to say, I will read more of this or more of this. But in your geography, I've told you, majorly on week 5 and 6. So for TD, no way, it is 1 to 6 direct. Thank you very much for listening to the advice. Now we go to the business of the day. Before I take you to what we have today, you will remember we have been talking about climate and vegetation. Talked about climate and vegetation of Africa. And we've said there are areas we have desert climate. We made mention of the Sahara Desert. And we said crop to grow there. And we talked about the characteristics too. We said aridity or rainlessness, high evaporation rate. These things happen in some areas, both in Nigeria and outside Nigeria, that is in Africa. Remember, we're still looking at Africa. When you have vegetation, type of vegetation where this kind of climate happens, and you cannot grow crop, what will you do? For example, rainlessness. When you say rainlessness, that means low rainfall or there is no rainfall for the year. So what do? You know that the rain that comes is from God. It's a natural water. You need to do artificial work to be able to help yourself. That is why we want to look at what is called irrigation. What did I call it today? Irrigation agriculture. That is what we're looking at today, or irrigation on its own. That is irrigation in the Nile Basin and Niger Basin. Irrigation we are looking at today is in 2 areas. We are looking at Niger Basin, that is areas of its own. Then the Nile Basin. Remember, River Nile is the largest or longest river in Africa. Then followed by River Niger. These are the rivers, major rivers we have discussed, rivers in Africa. River Nile is the longest river, followed by River Niger. River Niger is the second in command, and that's the longest river in Nigeria. River Nile is the longest in Africa. Who has its source from Egypt, and River Nile took its source from Guinea Highland, and then flows through Niger. You know all these things in your Niger, Mali, and then ends in Nigeria, then in that Atlantic Ocean. That's after Nigeria there. So we have discussed this. These 2 big rivers or major rivers in Africa. We selected 5 of the major rivers in Africa. You remember? So Nile was number 1 and Niger is number 2. There are irrigations we do with them. That is areas that make use of Niger River. That's River Niger. And areas that make use of River Nile. That is what we want to look at. today. Let us quickly have the objectives shared as we normally do it. That is, at the end of this lesson, you should be able to define irrigation, discuss the factors that favor irrigation in Nile Basin and Niger Basin. Then state the areas of irrigation in Nile Basin and Niger Basin. Discuss the importance of irrigation. State the similarities between irrigation in Nile Basin and Niger Basin. Explain the methods of irrigation. Lastly, state the general problems of irrigation. These are things we want to look at today. What is irrigation? I've indirectly told you what irrigation means. I've said when there is no natural water, that is rain, you do something to help your crop in this area when you have this kind of climate. It is the artificial supply of water to soil or land for farming purposes. You do not just pour water on the ground because you are pouring it. That is not irrigation. You remember we talked about flood in our last term. If you want to send away flood, that is water that refuses to percolate. You want to allow it to percolate now. That does not mean you are doing irrigation. If it has no reason for you channeling it to that land for farming, there's no irrigation there. So it is channeling of water or artificial supply, supply of water to a particular land or farm for farming purposes. That's the reason. It is practiced in area of insufficient rainfall, when we say rainlessness or sufficient rainfall, like Egypt and Sudan. These two people make use of River Nile. We call it Nile Basin. The Egypt and the Sudan, they make use of River Nile. So they make use of River Nile. And then Mali make use of River Niger. That is, we call that side Niger Basin. Please take note of the two. Sudan and Egypt make use of River Nile. Know that River Nile is in Egypt, and then River Niger, it passes through Mali before entering Nigeria. Do not make these mistakes too. River Niger started from Guinea Highland, passes through Mali before Niger, Mali, and then get to Mali, Niger, Niger, Mali, and then get to Nigeria. So it has passed through Mali, passed through Niger before entering. We border with Niger at the northern part of Nigeria. You were taught map of Nigeria. So it has a channel through Mali, then Niger Republic before entering Nigeria. So Mali makes use of that particular River Niger because it passes through Mali before Niger and then Nigeria. So Mali has, River Niger that you see today here has a place it passes through in also Mali. So they make use of it. And because they make use of it, we call that Niger Basin because they use the water from River Niger. Then the Nile Basin are the Sudan and the Egypt that make use of River Nile. I hope you understand the difference between the two. Then let us look at reasons for irrigation. We have been talking about rainlessness, the dryness. These are the reasons. When there is no aridity, that is dryness, we have discussed about. We have discussed about rainlessness too, where we say there is low rain or no rainfall at all in an area. You can see this land that is dry. It's cutting and becoming segmented because it's supposed to be together because of dryness. This is a dry land, arid land. So this kind of soil, you put any crop there, it will not survive. It cannot do anything. It needs water. You wait for rain maybe for 3 months, or for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 5 months. The rain may not come. You need to do something. Artificially supply water to that land. That's what I mean. Then unreliable rainfall is one of them too. When you say rainlessness or unreliable, it means it just comes anytime it likes. Rain has a period where we have talked about seasons in Nigeria. So rain supposed, or Africa too, rain is supposed to have a particular time you expect rain, like we are now in this season. You can predict that between now, Saturday or Monday, there will be rain. So even if a particular land is dry, you know that water will come to it. But when it is not predictable, it may come today, maybe 3 months, you will not see the rain again. That's what we mean by that. This is arid land. Then let us look at factors that favor irrigation agriculture. There must be a river. We have talked about the Nile Basin, having Sudan and Egypt now, making use of River Nile. This is River Nile, making use of it. You also know River Niger. that we have the Mali making use of River Niger, we call it the Niger Basin. So if there is no river, there will be, these things cannot happen. There should be a river for this irrigation to take place. Incidents of low rainfall or unreliable. If the rainfall is reliable, you predict that there should be rain tomorrow, and you see rain, there will be no problem. But by the time you have this that unreliable, anytime the rain may just come, may not come at all. That's another problem. That's the reason. Then need to control flooding. When you have water that refuses to percolate in a particular place, you need to drain it out. Then you do not want to waste the water. So you take it to the farmlands for people to also use it. You are controlling the flow there. When you hear of overflow of dam, we will get to that later in the day. The resourcefulness of the people. People think, they feel there should be cultivation of crops even within the dry season. So let us do this. And okay, they've gone into research to know that even in dry season, cultivation of crops can still continue. Why God has not allowed rain to come? We can make use of the water He has given us in the river. That's what we mean by resourcefulness. The need for agricultural raw materials. Because if people need agricultural raw material and there's no water, rain entering it, there will be a problem. These raw materials will not come, like cotton that are produced in plantation agriculture. It's one of them, cocoa or cocoa, you call it the palm oil or oil palm tree, then the rubber. These are perennial crops that are produced in plantation agriculture. They need water to survive. They grow in tropical rainforest. This kind of hard crops or perennial crops I'm mentioning. If there is no rain, they cannot survive. That is what we mean by them. These are the factors that really affect or favor the irrigation agriculture. If these things are not in place, there will be a problem. There are factors. Then another thing is importance of irrigation. Why do we really do it? What does it benefit us? From what I have been saying, you can list them because they make the crop to be available. That is all there. Farmers less depend on rainfall. That is one thing. When you now have it, you cannot feel that, since I have done it last year during dry season, even if there's no rain for 3 months, my crops can still survive in the farm. You less depend on rainfall. Don't be having heart attack again when there is no rain. Then it increases crop yield. When you plant for a year now, instead of planting for 1 season, you can plant for 2 seasons, both rainy and dry season, because you have used water from the river to supply to the farmland. Then you produce that period added to the one you've done in rainy season. You have crop yield increased. Then it reduces soil salt concentration, because when there's no water in the soil, the salt concentration will increase. When there is more water pumping to it, it will reduce that. Just like you have in your house, when there's too much of salt in your pot or in your soup, you pour more water, you will not see the concentration of the soil, salt again. It will reduce. That is what we mean by that. So as we have it in soup, also have it in the soil. There is salt in the soil. And these things, at times they are good. They have the advantage part to the crops. At times they do not have. As I said, at times they have the disadvantage part too. That's what I mean. They have the advantage part and the disadvantage part. So if the salt is too much, you need to reduce the salt concentration. It makes early planting possible. The time of planting, you are prepared to plant. You now be waiting for April, May, waiting for rain to start. You can start your plant. When you start doing it, this is irrigation. These are crops. Then these are channels built on them. This is water flowing. The crops planted on these ridges, the water is touching it. The crop planted here, the water is touching it. The crop planted here, this water is also touching those soil around. That is what irrigation is all about. It involves, see, you have for farming, I said this practice in the Sudan, Egypt, that is make use of Nile, then Niger side. These areas, they do these kind of things that we just say, planting of making use of what they call it, having these channels, they're having ridges there, they build, you plant things, crops on them. When you plant these crops on them, the water coming from here, will be soaked. That is the soil will absorb them. And then the crop will use them to grow. These are the some of the importance of irrigation, why we really do irrigation. Then let us look at areas covered by irrigation. In the Nile Basin, we have the Sena, that is Sudan. We have the Kenya, also Sudan. I've told you it's Sudan and Egypt. Then we have the lower Nile Basin, Aswan Dam. There's a dam there that is built in that side. The Giba is another one, the middle Nile Valley. Then we have the lake shore. In Niger area, that is in Mali side now, we have inner Niger Delta, Mali. Then Niger Valley, also have the lake shore. In this lake shore, we have, you make use of people that like Kainji, where we have a lake that make use of River Niger. It's a lake, a dam there on Lake Kainji. That dam produces water for both irrigation and many other. It's even where most of the electricity we are consuming is coming from that particular area. Then let us look at the similarities between irrigation in Nile Basin and Niger Basin. Both Nile and Niger now, the similarities between the irrigation, there are things that are similar, both in the Nile Basin and the Niger Basin. Both use canals to channel water. You get canal where water comes from, you use it. Then both have small and large lands. The farm could be small, could be large that they channel the water to. Then they both grow food crops like the vegetable, rice, and whatever, maize and so. They both grow cash crops too. I made mention of cotton, made mention of rubber. These are cash crops. We know all these things. Then let us look at why irrigation is more important. In the Niger Basin, like Mali, and then the Nile Basin, talking about Sudan and Egypt, it is in Egypt and Sudan, that is the Nile Basin, irrigation is more important compared to the Niger. Though at both sides, it is important, but we still have where it is more important. That is the Nile Basin compared to the Niger Basin. Reasons that Nile Basin occupy desert area, while Niger Basin receive more rainfall. So they do not get rainfall as compared to the Niger Basin. Another one, population in Nile Basin is higher than that of the Niger Basin. And so more demand for crops. And why people are demanding for this crop, you need to produce. And while you are waiting for rainfall and rain has not come, you do irrigation. Nile Basin is used more for cash crop production. We have said the similarity now. We are now looking at some differences too. The Nile, this is Nile Basin irrigation. You are seeing here. The Nile Basin has that's more of cash crop production, like the cocoa, the rubber. In the Niger Basin, they always also produce it, but this one have it more. The Nile Basin, that is talking about Sudan and Egypt. That's why they also need irrigation more. Just like you spend more, you also need more money. That is what we mean by that. Then another thing is that you will have mentors for this, for doing this irrigation. We are saying it is artificial supply of water to farmland. How do we do this? That's the method. One is called shut-off method. Use hand-operated lever lifting buckets. They'll be turning the water, buckets of water, and then dropping them into the channel, running along. I just showed to you a channel of water running along. That is this particular one. So as you are pumping those levers, be dropping the water inside the channel. Then the crops that are built on or planted on the ridges will be making use of them. That is the shut-off method we are talking about. The another method is perennial method, building of dam across river. I just made mention of River Nile and then River Niger, and I made mention of Kainji Dam that is built there, which supply water for irrigation and electricity, that way we get our electricity or electric power. Then basin irrigation. This one, building of embankment or barriers. This one, it's like you build walls here, Then when the water is coming, you save water there and you hold the water back. That is, you close water inside there, like a well, so like an a well. Waters will be coming and be collecting them there. You'll not be using this water for watering the farmland for irrigation. The another one is the use of pump, like you are seeing here. This one is the basin irrigation. This is the use of pump, the one you are seeing here. Sorry, this is the use of pump, the last one here. This pump, this is a pipe coming from pumping machine. So at the machine, you know where you say pump, and the machine is pumping the water, you take the pipe down to where you have the farmland, or the way you cut channel. Your farm could be far from there, or your farm is there. You made the channels already. Then the pipe will be bringing the water, being pumped by the machine from the river. That is what we are talking. This one is the pumping method or use of pump. Then the manual method. This is the manual method. This one you are seeing here. It is the use of pump is also called sprinkler irrigation. This is a second name for it. That is to sprinkle water. I will still show you another how the pipe can go. Just like you use water to put on your garden, want to water your flower, or you wet your flowers. That's what we mean by sprinkler. You sprinkle the water. This water is being sprinkled. It has another way it can also be done. Not just pumping it direct, we could sprinkle it up and then it will be coming down. It is called sprinkler irrigation too. This one is manual method. This one is holding this method where equipments like the pumping machine and all have not come in place. You use a bucket, you just carry a bucket, you fetch water from the river, you go to the farmland, you begin to wet them. You go again, could be you and you alone, could be you and your family. When you fetch the water, you go to the channel or the farmland, they said, you pour it, you go back to the river. You ask me how many hours will you spend to be able to wet one small particular farmland. You'll see the difference between them. So the pumping method or the modern method, the manual method is an olden days method. The crops cultivated, these include the rice, both in Niger Basin and in the Nile Basin. When I'm talking about, please don't mistake this. When I'm talking about the Nile Basin, I'm still talking about Egypt and Sudan. When I'm talking about Niger Basin, I'm talking about the Mali. Please take note. Both crops, both at this area, both areas, both in Niger Basin and the Nile Basin, they have almost the same crops that are produced through this irrigation or cultivated. Like the rice, as seen here. Nobody will say among you does not eat rice, or she doesn't eat rice. Is there anybody among you? This is maize, very consumable, especially this period now. We eat it everywhere. We eat maize. This is groundnut. You know what is sugarcane too. So these are the crops that are cultivated. Some of these crops: the sugarcane, the guinea corn, the rice, the maize. Talking about groundnut. These are the crops that are cultivated both at the Nile Basin and at the Niger Basin. Then let us also look at in this country or in Africa or in this area that we have this irrigation being done. What are the things that have been gotten by the government or to the economy that the economy has gotten from this irrigation? We are not doing irrigation in a particular area, like Mali now. What, talking about Mali or the Egypt or Sudan, what are the things that this irrigation has done to the economy of that particular area? Or if it is Nigeria, when you do irrigation, what are the things that the economy will benefit from it? That is provision of food. When there is no food, you begin to water the farmland, you get more food. Food will be coming. Then employment. The people that do this job, somebody is there pumping this thing as it's coming. Somebody will stop it. These are people that control. This is the sprinkler irrigation we are saying here. So people who do this thing, they get employment. Another one, revenue to government. Government make money from it. While you do these things, government make money from it. People that do all these things, they also pay to the government. Tourist attraction. Somebody want to look at this. Hey, I like this. Oh, just come to feed your eyes. Then income to farmers. They gain from it. Why they do all these things? They earn from it. Another one, it encourages research. People want to go to see how a particular crop, for example, a particular crop that is not supposed to survive, how is it surviving in a particular time? People go there for research to see how the roots of crops absorb this water from these channels, how they make use of them, whether ridges or not. Just like that. These foods are produced because of irrigation. They give them food. These are the contributions of irrigation to a particular government or economy of a particular place. Then we have some problems that are created in the Nile irrigation or in the Nile Basin, in the Nile irrigation. We're talking about Nile irrigation now. It's those that make use of River Nile for artificial supply of water to their farmland. One is water volume fluctuation. These are problems. Then collapse of dams. Water volume fluctuation means the volume of water in the river is now reducing. While they come to use it, say as an embankment or whatever, they reduce the water, and then another thing is collapse of dam. When these dams collapse, at a time I was in Ojodubega, I had a collapse of dam. Almost all the people in that area of the state, they were being disturbed because the water overflew. Water will begin to overflow. That is, it can cause also displacement of people, sending people away from the house. You build a house, the water will overflow and then send you away. Retaining water in dams, they keep all this water. You know it's coming from river, you store it in that area, you keep it. It creates diseases like water blindness. It makes people to fall sick when they begin to use this water. You know the man that is working in the farm also needs to touch the water that is pumping into the farmland. That's what I mean. So it can cause blindness. It's called the water blindness. These diseases are seen in the water. It can make the person to have this disease. There are problems that are created. Then there are also general problems. This one we're talking about the Nile area now. There are also general problems, both in the Niger Basin and the Nile Basin. One is fluctuation in water volume. I've just explained that. It reduces, and one problem of the problem also is it reduces crop yield. Water is fluctuating. You do not see water, later you see water. Then disease can occur as a result of flooding. This is flood. It can cause disease because there are many organic, what do you call them, microorganisms inside this water now that cannot be seen with physical eyes. And so they can cause problems too. It can cause the growth of waterways. These are waterways. As you are pouring water, the crop that you need will be growing and then weeds will be coming up. The problem of technical know-how. It's not everybody that can do all those pumping, all these equipments that are used. Like I showed to you to pump the water. It's not everybody that can do like this. You're saying, not everybody that can operate this for water to be coming from far and be coming up. That's what I mean by that. That's what I mean by lack of technical know-how. Another thing is irrigation equipment are expensive. The machines to be pumping, even the one we have in school, see our pumping machine, you can't tell me it's just a very cheap something. It's not easy to buy and then maintain. Detaining water, like I've told you, keep water in the dams and all that. For maybe you do embankment of it or creation of barriers to hold waters back can breed diseases, like the water blindness I've just told you, can cause diseases. These are the problems that are general to both the Nile Basin, talking about Sudan and Egypt, and the Niger Basin. What country am I referring to now? The Mali, all right. So these are things we need to look at. And then in America, I want to let you know that irrigation is simply artificial supply of water to farmland for farming purposes. Artificial supply of water to farmlands for farming purposes or agricultural purposes. Then we talked about the method of doing agriculture, irrigation rather. We said that's irrigation agriculture. We said the methods include the shadow pumping method. We talked about the manual method, use of bucket to pour water. Talk about the pumping method. Talk about the shadow method. Talk about the basin method. Then we also look at the areas. We are looking at this irrigation in Africa now. We talked about the Nile Basin, looking at talking about the Sudan and Egypt. We also look at the Niger Basin, talking about Mali, because River Niger passed through. I've told you before that River Niger passed through Mali before getting to Nigeria. So do not forget that River Niger passed through Mali before getting to Nigeria. Then we've also said that the irrigation we do has importance to the country or the economy too. We said general importance that it provides food. And then we've also talked about employment for those that do it. We also look at why irrigation is more preferable in the it's more important in the Nile Basin than the Niger Basin. We talked about the number of people that are there, and so they are higher than in the Niger Basin, and so more demand for food and then need for irrigation. We also talked about, because the Nile Basin is in the desert, so there's high rate of evaporation. The Niger Basin experience rainfall than those people. Then we also look at the problems of the irrigation, whether specific or general. We talk about fluctuation in water volume, and then we talk about water waves, and then diseases that can come as a result of flooding or holding back waters. These are areas we have looked at today. Watch your videos, read your notes accordingly. Please don't forget, if you have any question, you ask. Thank you very much, and God bless you.